Today's guest brings serious insight. I'm feeling a little bit intimidated, if I'm honest, but thanks for joining us. You've got Andrew from MorePeople, and we have Barbara Bray, Dr. Barbara Bray.
That's right.
Dr. Barbara Bray MBE, which we'll come on to in a minute, but thanks for being here. The short version, I think, and we'll expand upon this, you can definitely do the most of the talking. Started off in technical.
That's right.
Backover.
Yes. Yeah.
And today you're running your own consultancy.
That's right.
You're involved as a chair at Red Tractor.
Yes.
And you wear lots of hats. TED Talks. I've seen TED Talks.
Yeah, 2 of those. Yeah.
Hence being intimidated sitting here from my perspective.
You're doing a great job.
Thanks very much. How do you get to be here? What's your day-to-day look like at the moment?
My day-to-day at the moment is pretty unique because having just finished a PhD, life is just all over the place. I think you spend so long studying and getting your head down and doing one thing really intensely, and then it stops, and then it's back to doing lots of different things. Obviously, being a consultant in the food industry, one minute I'm helping people prepare for a technical audit, or I could be working with a big food company wanting to hone in on a particular aspect of nutrition and health, and they want a second opinion. So it has literally been jumping from one thing to another since I finished my PhD, and I think there's going to be a lot more of it as well.
That keeps it fun though, right?
It keeps it fun. Obviously, I love doing what I'm doing with the Red Tractor role because in our sector, in fresh produce, people are so enthusiastic. You ask them to join a committee and say, look, we're short of a person with that specialist knowledge. And they're just waiting in the wings to be asked, and they're so excited. So they bring expertise, they bring enthusiasm, but they also bring the support from their sector of the industry, which is really useful as well.
Tell us briefly about Red Tractor.
It's a standard that's based in the UK, and it's all about food safety, traceability and responsible farming. Now, there are plenty of other standards. People might know LEAF, for example, they might know Soil Association. Each standard has its different criteria, but at Red Tractor, it's about building trust with the consumer so that they know food is produced safely, responsibly, and it's fully traceable. And it really stems back from the days, thinking back to foot and mouth and BSC and all since then, when there was not really any trust in farming and production. But now having a standard that people can get behind and recognise and know that if I buy this, I can trust it. And that's where I'm guessing the Trust the Tractor logos slash thingy goes. I'm not a marketing person, as you can probably tell. Sorry, folks. But that's where it comes from. It's about getting consumer trust, but also that growers understand what that's all about as well.
And people will notice it when they start looking on packs, won't they? The Union Jack, the Red Tractor, they'll notice the logo all of a sudden that it's been there the whole time. I don't think people take it for granted, but there's a difference, isn't there, between on-pack marketing that sounds like a fictional farm versus an accreditation and a real, stamp of authority.
That's right. You've had somebody come and look at your farm year after year, and hopefully you've made improvements as a grower, and that's what we're showing the public. It's safe, it's responsibly produced, and it's traceable if ever there was a problem.
And the PhD, I'm dying to ask, I don't know the answer. Has your PhD got a really convoluted long title?
The short title is The Healthy Aging Diet, but the subtitle is Modelling a Nutritionally Adequate Diet for UK Older Adults. But I tend not to add that bit on. What I'm basically trying to do, the very essence of it, is help people who are aged 65 years and over improve their diet quality. And what I was researching was where people are currently at. So establishing what their baseline diet is on a day-to-day basis and saying, rather than wholesale advise a completely different diet, take that baseline and enhance it. So look at foods that are already in that portfolio that they're eating and say what they can eat more of and perhaps what can be altered in some way, either adding more vitamins, minerals, or fibre ingredients into an existing product that they already like, for example, like porridge or bread or yogurt, and then that enhances the nutritional quality, but they don't have to change what they're currently eating.
So it's not about being an evangelical pursuit of perfect. It's about a real world, small nudge.
Exactly.
To be better with what they already do.
Yeah, so it's looking at the smallest possible changes people can make to get the biggest benefit. And I think that works for all age groups, I'm guessing, but for older people particularly, because your diet, I wouldn't say it shrinks as you get older, but the range of foods you will be accessing will change because of the circumstances of your life.
Yeah, old habits kind of die hard as people get into the rut of what they usually eat.
They do. I mean, we as middle-aged people also do that. But I think if you're not leaving the house to go to work, if your social circle is shrinking and you're not getting out and about, you're not able to access the shops as easily, then the foods that you buy and the foods that you choose will get smaller in the range.
How do you deal with the pursuit of the empirical truth when it comes to what works and what doesn't work? I know we're discovering things all the time.
Yes.
But certainly from my perspective, if you trust the algorithm and the algorithm feeds you more of the confirmation bias of what you think often, but sometimes you read one news article or see one piece of advice that conflicts completely with another one and you feel lost about, well, which one's correct then?
And that's the key. It's cutting through the noise and not chasing the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So what you've probably noticed is people jump on bandwagons, and in isolation, each one of those things can help, but it's looking at the round and looking what works for you. So for example, what the taxi driver tells you they're eating or what your hairdresser tells you they're eating isn't necessarily right for you. And when you look at the advice that we've got from a government point of view, that's done across the population. So if you take me, for example, a menopausal woman of Black African origin, there are certain things in my ethnicity that make me more predisposed to, for example, type 2 diabetes, gaining weight around the middle, that aren't applicable to you. So you and I trying to follow the same type of dietary recommendation is not going to benefit both of us. It'll be more advantageous for me. So I think it's about understanding what your limitations are, your family history, and trying to find a way of personalising advice for you. I'm not saying don't look at the different trends and ignore everything, but look at what is advised from a government point of view, what's advised by people who have got the actual knowledge. And friends, yes, they're going to sway your opinion, but do look things up and be critical of where you're getting the information from. Googling things, it's not going to end well, really, is it, if you're trying to find information off the internet?
If you think about the big data and the AI and the personalization element, to your point about our makeups and our diets being different.
Yes.
Do you hold much sway over what could happen with things like DNA methylation tests and thinking about the personalization of your microbiome, or is that just another set of trend and fads?
I think it has its place, but a lot of the time what you realise is people don't have the basics right. So if you're an athlete or somebody who really where fine-tuning is going to make that key difference, then fine. But if you're just the average Joe, you can probably do better by making sure that you're eating like the government dietary recommendations. If you haven't achieved that yet, then the DNA testing is probably a step too far. And I'm not saying it's not right, but really it's foundational, isn't it? So you build the firm foundation and then you look at the smallest changes that you can make after that. But if you haven't actually reached the basics, then it's a bit of a jump too far, isn't it?
I'm falling into this trap, right? It's finding the shortcut to go, I'm going to get a DNA methylation test to find out that I can't methylate folate or whatever. And then go, yeah, but just don't eat this terrible diet in the first place.
Exactly.
This 1% is going to make no difference.
Exactly that. So those percentage increments, if you haven't started and, for example, got your 400 grams of fruit and vegetables a day, whether or not you're sensitive to folate is a moot point.
Yeah.
You're nowhere near the target level. So, yeah, it's about making sure that... Sorry for the bad news. I mean, obviously, I think with some people, having the data is really helpful. I always say, don't rush out and buy all the different minerals and vitamin supplements there are. It is better to start off by being tested. That said, not all tests are equal. Some of them aren't as, I suppose, from a calibration point of view and understanding how accurate they aren't as great. So that doesn't always help, but at least it gives you an idea of whether you're in the ballpark or not. So if your test results are coming out that you're suboptimal, then yes, you should be taking a supplement. But also it could be to do with lifestyle, for example, how you eat your diet. So there's certain combinations of things. If you eat them together, they work against each other. If you're taking certain types of medication, that doesn't work very well with supplements. So you can pick some fairly low-hanging fruit before you go down the route of specialisation and supplementation.
I'm not going to let you leave. I'm going to keep talking to you out there and nail my diet. But quick fixes, people want quick fixes and trends and bandwagons that people can jump on. I guess we've got the weight loss jabs as a very, very current quick win. I'm curious so what your thoughts are around that trend.
I keep watching what's coming out in terms of the data because it's so new. We don't really know long term what's going to happen to people. And short term, we've seen benefits, but we've also seen huge disadvantages. For me, I think the disadvantages come where people have been getting it, I guess, off-label and finding ways and means of going around the system to get their own private prescription. And they don't have the wraparound care that shows them how to manage their diet better. So it's great that you might be eating less, but if your breakfast consists of a bar of chocolate as opposed to a smaller bowl of porridge, you can see where it goes. If people aren't able to improve their diet quality, if they're just reducing the calories, then it's not going to have the impact. And also it's important to understand, like with any weight loss diet, you're tending to, I guess, hit a point of between 5 and 10% weight loss. And for some people, that might not be enough. You know, you have to make other changes. It's not just about the weight loss. It's about looking at how it's advantaged you from a health point of view.
I guess the education piece just around, what is a calorie and how many stealth calories are in the food that people eat without realising. It feels to me there's still a long way to go on that education piece to get that base level up.
There is, and I think that the difficulty is when you're shopping in supermarkets, it's made easy for you because you're buying something that's ready-made, it's portioned. So it'll say 2 portions, 4 portions. I know there's a temptation if you have a pillow pack of I don't know, nachos to eat the whole thing, but it is portioned. It will say 1 portion is this many. When you go out to eat and you're in an out of home situation, so if you're going to a cafe or, well, particularly cafes, I have a real bugbear about that. People going with their small kids into cafes, I will be giving them side eye as they buy their small child a whole entire muffin and a whole drink. And I'm like, are you going to share that? Because they're not portioned. You can't get a small child's portion in a cafe very easily. And the portions of cake and biscuit aren't designed as treats. They're almost whole meals. And if you're missing a whole meal, fine, you do need to get some calories. But I think people miss the point there. They're saying, well, I'm going to have this treat and then I'm still going to go home and have lunch and dinner and maybe a couple of drinks in the evening. So that extra cake is, yes, it's a nice treat, but actually it's not been helpful in your overall calorie intake.
Particularly when it's day after day after day, it
Yes.
becomes habitual.
Yeah, and a lot of us are having food from out of the home at least 3 or 4 times a week. You know, sometimes because it's work and you're in the car and you jump in and out and you have to get snacks and meals. But sometimes it is because it's Friday. Let's go out after school, after tea or whatever, after work and get something to eat. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's the way in which we embrace it. It's less about the experience and it's more about the quantity of food. And I think it should be the other way around. You slow it down, have a lovely experience. You know, you might have a few family arguments or whatever it is, but you still are enjoying that experience, but not necessarily throwing down lots of food down you.
Today is Friday, so that's going to give me pause for thought later.
The adverts are about that, aren't they? You never see an advert to somebody going to a burger joint and getting 1 burger and 1 thing of chips. It's always about, well, I'm getting this for so-and-so, this for so-and-so, and everybody comes back and they have a great time sharing or not sharing and arguing over, that's mine, you go.
And the upsell to be large.
Exactly that. And that introduces a whole level of entertainment within that food experience. But we need to look at how we do that level of entertainment and that bonding as a group thing differently.
I'll be good later. And tell us about your consultancy. What does that look like day to day? What are you involved in?
I wear different hats. So I really enjoy chairing and running round tables. And that's something that I guess I'll be doing more of now. I've got my PhD. So invited by different companies to talk on certain topics or contribute to certain topics, particularly on healthy aging nutrition. I'm really happy to do that with businesses. And there's not a lot of work that's focused on that area, but I just enjoy dipping in and out of that. I'll also still carry on doing auditing because food safety is my first love. And I enjoy working with businesses and helping them do that continuous improvement and seeing how compliant they are to audit standards. What I've realised is when you're working, it is all about people and how they respond and how you bring them on that journey. So I'll carry on doing training and mentoring and development as well, because I just love bringing the next generation on and seeing how you can help people improve and work together with them to all get to that final end goal that you want to.
With all this free time, now the PhD is done, it's going to be exciting to see what you do next.
I'm a middle-aged woman. There never is free time.
Well, no, we're taking up yours now, but look, I could genuinely talk to you all day and I'm going to keep you around for a while to pick your brains some more.
Okay.
But it's been a pleasure and really useful insight.
Thank you very much. It's been great to be here, Andy.